Try this for a moment. Think back to something you once believed would change everything. Not casually wanted, but needed. Something you obsessed over, planned your future around, convinced yourself would finally make life feel complete. Now ask yourself quietly, did it actually do that? And if you never got it, didn't something else eventually slide into its place, wearing the same promise, demanding the same devotion? That question exposes a truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You were never meant to be satisfied, and the world you live in is built on making sure you never realize that. 2 centuries ago, a philosopher noticed something everyone else was too busy to see. While society celebrated progress, ambition, and achievement, he watched people closely, not their words, but their behavior. He saw desire repeating itself with mechanical precision. He saw people chase goals, reach them, feel nothing, and immediately look for the next thing to chase, not because they were greedy, because stopping felt unbearable. Life, he realized, isn't a journey toward fulfillment. It's a loop. You suffer because you want. You get what you want. The suffering stops, briefly. Then emptiness takes its place, and emptiness demands a new desire to escape it. Pain and boredom, back and forth, until the body gives out. The cruelty of it isn't obvious at first, because desire disguises itself as hope. When you want something, life feels directional. There's a story you tell yourself. Once I have this, things will make sense. That story keeps you moving. It gives meaning to the discomfort. But when the desire is fulfilled, the story collapses. You're still here, still restless, still vaguely dissatisfied with being alive. And that's the moment most people panic. Not outwardly, but internally. Because if this didn't fix it, then what will? So they don't sit with that question. They replace it. Another goal, another relationship, another upgrade, another distraction. Modern life has perfected this cycle. Desire no longer needs patience. Everything arrives instantly. Food, entertainment, validation, attention. The moment discomfort appears, it's anesthetized. And because relief comes so quickly, satisfaction barely registers before the next craving takes its place. The loop accelerates. This is why comfort hasn't made people calmer. It's made them more restless. When the pendulum swings faster, you don't experience peace, you experience addiction. Not always to substances, but to stimulation, approval, progress, identity. The mistake is thinking the problem is the thing you want. It isn't. The problem is the wanting itself. Desire isn't personal. It feels intimate, but it's mechanical. It doesn't arise because something is missing in your soul. It arises because life itself moves by wanting. Growth requires lack. Survival requires hunger. Continuation requires dissatisfaction. You feel like you're choosing your ambitions, your attractions, your goals, but much of what drives you was installed long before you became aware enough to question it. Status, reproduction, comparison, achievement. These forces don't care about your peace. They care about motion. And motion feels like purpose until you stop moving. This explains why success rarely delivers what it promises. The dream job brings new anxieties. The relationship loses its intensity. The recognition fades into pressure. The body you worked for reveals new insecurities. Nothing fails. It simply finishes its role. The relief you feel after achieving something isn't happiness. It's the absence of craving. And absence doesn't feel good. It feels empty. So the mind rushes to fill it. Here's where the shift happens, the one most people never make. There are moments when the wanting stops without being fulfilled. Moments when you aren't chasing, comparing, performing, or proving. Music does this. Art does this. Nature does this. Deep focus does this. For a brief time, you forget yourself, not your body, your agenda. There's no hunger in those moments. No future bargaining. No internal narration about who you should become. Just experience, happening without demand. That relief is subtle but unmistakable. It's what people mistake for happiness, but it's something else entirely. It's freedom from wanting. The world doesn't teach you how to recognize this because it can't profit from it. A person who needs less is harder to manipulate. A person who isn't chasing is difficult to control. An economy built on endless desire requires endless dissatisfaction. So you're taught to optimize the chase instead of questioning it. More productivity, better habits, stronger motivation, faster results. But no one asks whether the direction itself makes sense. The alternative isn't giving up or rejecting life. It's seeing desire clearly enough that it loosens its grip. Not eliminating wants, that's unrealistic, but no longer confusing them with meaning. When you want something and know you're wanting, it has less power over you. When you notice the pull without obeying it immediately, space opens up. That space is small at first, fragile, easy to lose, but it's real. And in that space, you realize something quietly radical. Peace doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from not being owned by what you want. This doesn't make life perfect. It makes it honest. You still desire, you still suffer, but you stop believing the next achievement will save you. And that belief, more than any possession, is what has been exhausting you all along. What remains isn't constant happiness. It's something rarer. Clarity. Enoughness. Moments where life doesn't need to justify itself. Not because you finally won, but because you stopped mistaking the chase for freedom.